we are today on A Certain Sound, thanking you for tuning in. It's such a delight to be with you. This is exciting stuff. I mean, when you look at the Word of God and you get into it, it's something that sustains you. It's something that keeps you going. It's kind of amazing that we don't get into it more, huh? It's just the way we are, I guess, sometimes, human nature being what it is. Jeremiah chapter 23. If you have a Bible, turn with us there. Maybe this is your first time watching, and thank you for joining us. Jeremiah 23, beginning with verse 28. Here's what the prophet says. He's talking to the people of God, and especially the false prophets. And he says the false prophets, they dream all kinds of stuff. And in fact, they're stealing messages from other people. And that's what he says. He said they're taking the message from this guy, and this guy. And he says, and they're just basically just repeating or parroting. Have you ever known some people to parrot what someone else says? You'll find that a lot. But anyway, that happens on TV, radio, you name it. Just parrot. Okay? It's got to get in you. Jeremiah 23, verse 28 says this, the prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream. But he that has my word, there's a difference. But he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. And then he says, what is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord? So he's going to give you some genuine identification marks. Some identification marks of a real, true word from the Lord. Number one, it'll be like wheat. The dreams these other guys were having are like chaff compared to the Word of God. Some people, they always want a word from God. I'll tell you where you're going to get your word from God, right here. You don't have to walk up to some evangelist and say, do you have a word for me? Friend, God can speak to you directly through His Word. And He longs to do that. In fact, if someone comes up to you and says, I've got a word for you, don't listen to what that word is unless God's already spoken it to you. God has the ability to tell you, and He's not going to tell me something without really letting you know. And if I do come up with something, if God does speak something to me, and it is from His Word, and I share it with you, it will be a confirmation to you about what God has already been dealing with you about. And that happens quite often. So he says here, one of the genuine marks, or let's put it another way, one of the marks of a genuine word from the Lord is this. It's like wheat. You take wheat, you grind it up, you make flour. The flour, you make bread. The bread you give to the hungry. And it's something that will keep them going. Friends, when the gas prices go through the roof, what you're going to need when you don't have any money in your pocket is a word from God to sustain you. Because His word is like wheat. Secondly, it says, is not my word like fire? You know what His word will do if it's a genuine word? It'll burn in your heart. You remember those two men on the Emmaus Road when Jesus rose from the dead and He's talking with them? And when Jesus finally reveals Himself to them, they get excited and run all the way back to Jerusalem. What was that, about 7 miles? And here's what they said. They said, did not our hearts burn within us while He expounded to us the Scriptures? Oh, friends, you want to know what the people in the church world need today? They need the exposition of the Word of God to create the burning sensation on the inside of God speaking to them, knowing that that Word kindles a feeling. It'll stir you up. It'll feed you. And it'll burn on the inside. Friends, that's what we need. And Jesus expounded to them in the Scriptures all the things pertaining to Himself. You know what'll make your heart burn? A word from His Word that shows you who Jesus is and will let you know all things work together for good.
Thank you for watching A Certain Sound Daily Video Devotional. Be sure to sign up for the iTunes podcast or daily email of A Certain Sound when you visit us online at www.acertainsound.com. A Certain Sound is a ministry of Word of Truth Christian Center in Bowling Green, Ohio. On behalf of Word of Truth Christian Center, I'm Sonetta. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.